All right, these are the first 2 days of my little personal Advent abstract painting challenge. Here's day 1, and I'm just going to kind of watch along with you. So that's the color palette, and lake is the word. And in order to save some time on editing, I am just going to kind of talk you through what I did, but I did a lot of time lapses because I don't think it'd be that interesting to just watch me the whole time. Plus, I didn't want to get kind of out of flow, you know what I mean? So I took the colors and I tried to kind of, use a limited palette. And one thing that's consistent in every space that I'm learning about abstract painting right now is they absolutely say do a limited palette, which is something I've been wanting to lean more into. I've been painting for 5 years now, and I taught myself and I just did what I did, and I've mainly painted with watercolors, but I've also done acrylic painting and some really big detailed acrylic paintings. I'll have to pull those into one of the videos so you can see what I'm talking about. But I mean, I'm proud of my acrylic work, but it is absolutely not my first medium, nor is abstract. So one of the next things is to play like a 5-year-old. So this is me playing like a 5-year-old, trying to think about lake. And you could see it kind of looked like a lake. And I was like, that is too literal. So I just turned the whole thing on its side and played some more. And I'll try to not cut off the bottom on the next one. The camera's up kind of high, so I couldn't see what it was getting. But look at all those colors. I mean, can you believe I just keep layering? And that's one thing I'm not used to. As a watercolor painter, you really have to plan what you're going to do. But I love the freedom that you get with acrylic paint because it's opaque. You can continue to layer. Unfortunately, it's kind of cutting off the bottom here, but I turned it kind of into a lake view, and I live in the Great Lakes area. So to me, the lake is like the big lake, I guess. And I didn't even realize I was doing that, but see how it looks more like an ocean or something. If you look in the center area. So once I was like, yeah, I think I'm going to leave this and start to turn it into a lake area, I started to play with cleaning up what I had done and making it look less chaotic. I don't like the chaos, and yet I cannot stop doing it on everything I've tried for abstract. I just go nuts, and then I'm like, ooh, that is a lot. So I wanted to keep that lavender sort of fuchsia color up top because that's my favorite. I'm going to give like an assessment on what I think, and I'll tell you why. So one thing is I see the clouds. I really like this shape for the clouds, and I wish this was a little bit more consistent. I think it's fine, but that's my thoughts on that. I think it's chaotic. I think the whole thing just has like a lot going on. I can't decide yet what I think of that. I would like there to be sections of cohesive colors that blend together nicely, and then sections that stand against it in contrast. To me, this looks like a little muddy. This got confusing. I think I just want a little bit less, although I like the experimenting. I'm really trying to be free about it because in watercolors, which I'm used to, you can't layer in the same way. You can layer, but not like you can with opaque acrylic paints like this. So here is my color palette, and I think I held decently true to that. I tried not to let my yellow get too yellow, although because I like that it was a greenish yellow a little bit. I don't know, I think I did it. This to me isn't a perfect color palette in the first place because I think it should probably be balanced a little better with violet and yellow. And I also really wish I had included more neutrals somehow. So those will be some of the challenges as I get into the future days. So as far as what I'm going to do tomorrow is I think that I'm going to really focus on getting more neutrals put into the mix when I create my palette initially, and then like get it in here. And I want maybe more chunks of color in the background. So those are 2 things I'll think about on day 2. I would really prefer sharing things that I love and I'm proud of, but it's I'm having so much fun. Like, this reminds me of when I first started to paint with watercolors. I challenged myself personally on my own for 40 days. I painted every day, and then I never stopped. And I have that level of like excitement in me right now. So it just feels good, even though I don't love them. I can't wait until I start loving them. You know what I mean? So here is me prepping for day 2. And I decided that on this day, I wanted to do the thing where you get 4 at a time. So we're at day 2, and I have a bad migraine, but I love to paint, so I'm doing it. The reminders for today are I want more neutrals and I want larger chunks of color in the background. So today I will be painting, ooh, okay, with the idea at least of books. I don't know why I chose that, and I don't know how I'm going to do it. And then these are very chill colors. So this would be a blue-orange color palette, but look, I went real soft. So I think that's going to help me with neutrals too, because the whole thing's a little bit more toned down, but I can work anywhere within blue and orange. So here it is, and I guess I'll get started. Something that's fun about painting with acrylics is that you get to, you know, it's a little bit trickier to clean your palette. So I get to do this though, which is so fun and satisfying. I've painted with acrylics before. I've done, but much more like realism. And so that's why this is fun, because I'm just letting myself play. Part of the advice is play like a 5-year-old. And I like that a lot. So satisfying though, isn't it? I think if I had a wider razor, it would be better. But right now I'm just using my palette knife. And I did order some more supplies, which should be here today or tomorrow. So that I'll have more supplies to do my painting with. So here we are, day 2. So since I want to get some neutrals in there, I really tried to make sure I mixed them up initially, or at least started with colors that were not right out of the tube. So just took a little bit of time. I think that part's so fun. And then I start wet, so I'm spraying down my paper. This is just watercolor paper, and I'm not doing this like a tutorial. I'm just learning, but I'm just telling you because, well, it's more interesting to watch probably if I tell you what I'm doing. So I'm trying to get a bunch of chunks of lighter colors on the background, just for interest, and just, I love the idea that you can play. And I think when I'm trying for realism, I'm not often playing, although I love what I do. This just feels different and it feels fun. So the idea is to get lots and lots of different markings in any way that you can, and see in some spots I scrape through the paint, which I think is so cool. Then I wanted to get into a darker value, so I think I maybe dried it in between these. Doesn't that look kind of like a alligator or something on the bottom right? And then, I watched this tutorial last night, and I will tag her YouTube page. Watch her, not me. But I love some of the stuff she did. And when we start with artwork, it's nice to copy people's things or ideas that you see if you find something you like in it. And then as you learn how to do it, make it your own. So I liked how she did giant chunks of color on the darker color, and then she just went in later and like took off a bunch of it with a light color or something neutral. So I like how that gave me, for example, the big light chunk on the top right for the sky. And then I liked the ideas of doing trees, and on hers she did trees in the foreground as well, so that would be like really big. And I loved that, but I actually forgot to do it. Okay, here's when I decided I needed to add something about books to my little landscapes. And so the one on the right is books on the tree branches. You can see the differences. I don't know if I'll have time to tell you them all. But on the bottom left, stacked books. On the top left, the bottom is a book, which I think is cool. And then the top right, you can see a little book. I'm not a big fan of that one. But I didn't want you to miss me taking the tape off, even though the bottom of this is cut off, because that's so satisfying to start to watch them turn into 4 individual paintings. So I do think this is my favorite way to do it. I think it also helps your brain probably get into like gut versus overthinking things, because you're doing 4 things at once. Big fan of it, and I do think this is my favorite one so far. This is where I decided to turn off the music for a minute so that I could tell you a couple things, like my thoughts on the artwork. So that's what I'm doing right now, and then we'll chat about it. All right, I'm at the end of day 2. I've been actually really sick all day. I went and laid down in between painting the background and then the book details. Here's where we started. Books and this color theme, which obviously I took up a notch. Apparently I can't help myself. This is honestly not really me. And for a long time, it did not look like books. Why? Because I wanted to do landscapes based on a tutorial that I watched last night that I can share. But I loved how she did it, and it made a lot of sense to me to get in there and do a bunch of colors, get some lights, and then get more vibrant midtones or darker tones, and then come in and block off sections with like white, especially like you can see it in this one. And I love the idea of it being a landscape. I actually forgot something this time. I wanted to do some trees in the foreground as well, but because the theme really was books, it's fine. I could do that another day, but let's show you how we got books. This is a book. It's like the whole thing is a story from the book. This is a tiny book. It's there, whatever. I might go back and add details to it with something tinier later on. Stack of books here. I still got to do whatever I wanted, but just add some books. And then these are some books in the trees. I think it's all pretty cute. One of my favorite little mishaps was when I found out that this paint pen was like dripping extra. And so I got these like really lovely splatters from the paint. And so I incorporated those, I think on the 3 of them. And I really like how they look against this dark area right here. It's funny, I won't even know if I like this until I look at it later, basically. But I do really like this style. And I think I will really like where I get to when I keep working. So this is today. And I guess any notes for tomorrow? I'm not sure, but I did order a bunch of supplies like rollers and scrapers and all this stuff that I could use to help. And so I'll have that here as well. Obviously my tape had trouble. I ordered some white tape, and I think I'll have to be careful. But like I said, I do not feel good today. But here's what they look like, I guess, individually. I'll show you like this. I really liked doing the 4. I just wanted to see what happened when you got to work on 4 at a time. And I think I work better this way. Maybe it keeps me a little bit more in my gut. But I also think there's something about painting when you don't feel good, or if you have a migraine, if you can get yourself to do it, you really are going to just sort of animalistically do whatever it is you're going to do. So I really like the color palette as well. And it did work. I did stick with it because it was a blue and orange. And I think as my like extra color, I tipped into that red. I just couldn't help myself, but really liked this one.